The twin suns of the desert planet burned the sky with their orange heat. The land below was dry and cracked. Wind moved across the sand, lifting dust into the air like silent ghosts. A shadow crossed the ground. It was a large slave transport, ship flying fast across the sky. The ship was dark, with long wings and sharp engines. It hummed like a beast as it moved toward the slave markets on the other side of the world. Inside the ship, rows of cages lined the walls. Each cage held people from different planets. Some were tall and blue-skinned. Some had fur or horns. Most were weak, tired, and silent. Shackles held their hands. Collars buzzed with control signals. They had no names here, only numbers. One of the prisoners was a young woman named Mira. She sat in the corner of her cage, knees pulled close to her chest. Her skin was dusty, and her black hair hung over her face. Her eyes stared at nothing. Her arms were thin, and a deep cut marked her shoulder. She did not speak. She had not spoken in days. Mira came from a peaceful planet called Varn. Her people grew crops and studied stars. One day, without warning, ships came from the sky. The slavers arrived with fire and machines. Her village burned. Her family was taken or killed. She was captured and sold like a tool. That was many months ago. Since then, she had been passed from one master to another. None of them cared who she was. They only saw her as property. Now she was being moved again. The ship had over 200 slaves, all going to a new owner. Mira did not care. Her hope was gone. She had nothing left to fight for. Suddenly, the ship shook. A loud warning beep filled the air. The lights flashed red. An alien voice shouted from the front cabin. The ship hit turbulence. Wind from a desert storm slammed into the side. The control panels sparked. A metal latch broke loose. One of the side hatches opened halfway. The guards ran to fix it, but they were too late. The ship jolted hard. Mira's cage slid across the floor. The door flew open. She was tossed out of the hatch. For 1 second, she felt weightless. Then the wind pulled her down. She fell through the air like a stone. Below her, only rocks and sand waited. Mira crashed into the desert floor. Her body rolled and hit hard ground. Dust flew everywhere. The sound of the transport grew smaller as it flew away. The hatch closed. The ship kept moving. Mira did not move. Hours passed. The twin suns dropped lower. The sky turned deep red. Night came slowly to the desert. Stars began to shine above. A cold wind swept over the sand. Mira's fingers twitched. Her eyes opened slightly. Pain screamed through her body, but she was still alive. Her head ached. Her arms were scraped and bleeding. Her leg was twisted. She could not stand. She lay flat on her back, staring up at the stars. Her breath came in small gasps. She felt heat fade from her body. She was cold now. The desert night was freezing. She could not see far. Only rocks and sand stretched around her. There was no light, no voice, no ship. She was alone. For a moment, she thought it would be easier to die. No more cages, no more pain. She closed her eyes again. Then she heard something, a low rumble. Not wind, not a ship, something else. The sound grew closer. It was wheels over sand, slow but steady. Mira opened her eyes again. A strange shape came into view. It was a small vehicle with 4 thick tires and a strong engine. It moved toward her and stopped just a few steps away. A figure jumped out. The person walked with quick steps, scanning the ground. He wore a helmet and dark goggles. He had a long coat that flapped in the wind. He moved like he knew the desert well. He stopped when he saw her. He knelt beside her and gently turned her over. Mira flinched, but she had no strength to resist. The man removed his goggles. He looked at her face. His eyes were kind but alert. "You're alive," he said. His voice was calm, low and human. He pulled a small scanner from his belt and checked her pulse. Then he lifted her carefully into his arms. She was light, like a dry leaf. He carried her to the vehicle and placed her in the back seat. He covered her with a warm cloth and gave her a few drops of water from his bottle. Mira's eyes stayed open, for only a moment. She saw his face in the starlight. He looked strong, with sunburned skin and a short beard. She had never seen a human this close before. Humans were rare in this part of space. Then everything went dark again. The man drove, back across the sand, his eyes scanning the sky. He said nothing, but his hands were firm on the controls. His vehicle disappeared into the desert night. Behind them, the land was silent again. No one knew Mira had fallen. No one cared. No signal was sent to find her. But fate had given her one more chance. She had been left for dead. But a human had found her, and everything was about to change. Mira opened her eyes slowly. The light was soft, not the bright sun of the desert. A dull yellow glow filled the room. She felt something warm on her body. A thick blanket covered her. Her head rested on a pillow. For a moment, she did not understand where she was. Her eyes moved around the room. The walls were made of metal and stone. Small tools and wires hung from hooks. A pot boiled over a slow fire in one corner. Strange machines blinked quietly. There was a table near the wall with old parts of drones and other scrap. She was not in a cage. There were no guards, no collars, no chains. Then she remembered the fall, the crash, the cold, and the face of a man who had found her in the dark. Mira tried to sit up, but pain shot through her leg. She gasped and dropped back. Her breathing became fast. Footsteps came from outside. The door opened, and the same man stepped in. He held a bowl of soup in his hand and looked surprised to see her awake. "You're up," he said. His voice was calm. He came closer and placed the bowl beside her. "Don't try to move yet. Your leg is injured. You hit the rocks hard." Mira watched him. She did not answer. Her eyes stayed fixed on his face. He did not look like the slavers. He was human. That was clear. His skin was brown from the sun and his clothes were simple. He wore a leather vest, boots, and gloves. A tool belt hung from his waist. "My name is Tom," he said. "I found you 2 nights ago. You were almost dead. Fell out of a transport, didn't you?" Mira said nothing. She looked away. Tom sat on a chair near her bed. He didn't ask more questions. He didn't touch her. He just sat quietly. After a while, he stood up and brought the soup closer. "You need to eat. It's not fancy, but it's hot." He lifted a spoon and held it near her mouth. Mira turned her head, but her stomach growled. Her body was too weak to argue. Slowly, she opened her mouth. He fed her carefully, 1 spoon at a time. The soup was plain, but warm. It gave her some strength. Her eyes stayed on him as he worked. "Don't worry," Tom said softly. "You're safe here." That word felt strange to her. Safe. Later that night, Mira woke again. The pain was less now. The room was quiet. Tom was sitting at the table, fixing a broken drone. His hands moved with care and skill. Mira spoke for the first time. "Why did you help me?" Tom looked up, surprised to hear her voice. He put the tool down. "Because you needed help," he said. "People don't help slaves," she said. Her voice was rough from silence. "I'm not like most people," he replied. She stared at him. "You're human." "Yes, there are. No humans in this zone. They left years ago." "I stayed," he said. "Why?" Tom leaned back in his chair. He looked at the ceiling for a moment before speaking. "I came here as a soldier long ago. We fought the slavers. We lost. The others left. I didn't. I couldn't watch them take people and do nothing. So I stayed off the radar. I found places to hide. I fix things. I survive. Mira listened. Her eyes softened just a little. You could have left me, she said. I don't leave people behind, Tom said. Days passed. Mira grew stronger. Tom gave her medicine and helped her walk. With a crutch, her wounds healed slowly. She asked questions. He answered them. She learned that Tom lived alone in the desert, far from the cities. He used old machines to collect water. He hunted desert beasts for food. He listened to alien radio signals. He built tools from scrap and traded them for supplies with quiet travelers. Mira helped when she could. She cleaned tools. She sorted wires. She learned to cook over his fire. Her hands stopped shaking. Her voice became steady. One night, Tom showed her the sky. They stood outside the shelter. Stars covered the sky in every direction. The air was cool. A breeze touched their skin. Mira looked up. Her eyes widened. I forgot how big the sky is. Tom smiled. It's even bigger when you're free. She turned to him. I was not free for a long time. I know. They stood in silence. Will they come for me? She asked. They didn't notice. You fell, Tom said. They don't care. Mira looked down. I was just a number to them. You're more than that. She didn't reply, but something in her chest felt different. Lighter, stronger. One morning, Tom showed her a map. It was drawn on old cloth. Red lines marked trade routes. Blue dots showed guard towers. One spot was circled in black. What's this? Mira asked. It's a convoy route. The slavers use it every 2 weeks. They carry people to the market. She looked at him. You study their paths? Yes. For a long time. Why? Tom looked into her eyes. Because I want to stop them. Mira's hands tightened. That's not possible. It is, he said. If we move carefully, if we strike the right place. She shook her head. They are too strong. Tom placed a hand on the map. They think they are, but they have holes in their system. Weak points. I've seen them. Mira stared at the map. Tom said, I've done small things, broken gates, sent fake signals, freed a few, but I can't do it alone. He looked at her. I need someone who understands what they do inside those ships, someone who has seen their system up close. Mira looked at her hands, then at the stars again. Tom spoke quietly. They think they broke you, but they didn't. You're still here. You're still strong. She looked up at him. Her voice was steady. Teach me. Tom nodded. All right. And with that, something changed. The slave woman who had once been left for dead was now learning to fight, and the human who had found her knew this was only the beginning. Mira woke early. The soft light of dawn filtered through the shelter's small window. Her body felt stronger than before, but her heart still carried the weight of many memories. She sat by the small fire where Tom prepared breakfast. Tom handed her a piece of flat bread and some fruit. She ate slowly, watching him carefully. Tell me more about your home, Tom said quietly. The planet where you came from. Mira nodded. She took a deep breath and began. My planet is called Varn. It was a peaceful place. We lived in small villages. We grew plants and studied the stars. My family worked as farmers. We believed in living with nature, not fighting. Her eyes softened at the memory. But one day, everything changed. Ships came from the sky. They were not like our people. They had sharp weapons and big machines. They destroyed our homes. They captured many of us. My family was taken. I was taken. Her voice broke. She looked down at her hands. I was sold to the slavers. I was moved from place to place. Each time it was worse than before. I lost hope. I thought I would never see freedom again. Tom listened with quiet respect. He did not interrupt. When Mira finished, he said, That pain, it must be hard to carry. It is, she said softly. Tom stood and walked to a small table. He pulled out a rough map. It was old and worn, but the lines were clear. This is what I want to show. You, he said. A plan. Mira's eyes lifted. She looked at the map carefully. Look here, Tom said, pointing at a red line. This is the main slave route. Transports move along this path every 2 weeks. He tapped another spot. This is a strong guard tower. It watches the desert and controls signals. Mira traced the lines with her finger. How can we fight? Them? They have many soldiers and ships, Tom smiled. They think they are strong. But even the strongest systems have weaknesses, he explained patiently. The transports have to stop here to refuel and repair. It is a weak point. The guards rest and the slaves are moved between ships. It is their busiest time and their most vulnerable. Mira looked at the circle Tom had drawn around the station. If we strike at that moment, we can free many slaves, Tom said. But how? I don't have weapons or training, Mira said. Tom walked over and picked up a small metal box. You have more strength than you know. I will teach you how to fight, how to move quietly, how to use old weapons. Mira looked into his eyes. She saw a fire there, not just anger, but hope. I want to try, she said. Tom nodded. Good. But this is not just about fighting. It is about hope. If we win, others will believe. If we fail, we disappear. Mira swallowed hard. Why do you believe in me? She asked. Tom looked away for a moment, then back. Because I see a survivor, not a slave. Mira thought about those words. A survivor. She had not felt that in a long time. The days that followed were hard. Tom taught Mira to move through the desert without making sound. He showed her how to check weapons and clean them. He explained how to read alien signals. Mira listened and practiced. At first, she was slow. Her hands trembled. But her mind was sharp. She remembered every lesson. She grew stronger. Sometimes she dreamed of her old life. She saw her family and the green fields. Then she woke with a start, feeling the cold of the desert night. Tom noticed her silence. You carry many things inside, he said one evening, but the past does not have to control you. Mira nodded slowly. I want to believe that. Tom smiled. Good, because the future needs you. One afternoon, Tom showed Mira a small weapon. It was old and rusty, but still strong. This is a blaster, he said. It uses energy to fire. It is not easy to use, but it can protect you. Mira held it carefully. The weight felt strange. She pointed it at a rock and pulled the trigger. A bright flash shot out. The rock cracked. Her eyes widened. I did not expect that. Tom laughed softly. You will learn, but remember, weapons are tools. The strongest tool is your mind. Mira looked at the blaster again. She felt a new feeling inside her. Not fear, not hate, but power. That night, they sat outside under the stars. Tom pointed at the sky. Many years ago, humans left this system. They thought it was lost. Mira looked up. Why did you stay? Tom's eyes grew distant. Because I believe the fight is not over. Because I believe freedom is worth any cost. She turned to him. I want to fight too, but I am scared. Tom reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward even when you are afraid. Mira looked at the stars again. For the first time in a long time, she dreamed of freedom. The next day, Tom showed Mira a hidden cave. Inside, there were old supplies, water, food, and weapons from battles long gone. This will be our base, Tom said. We will hide here when needed. Mira nodded. The place felt safe, strong. Tom smiled. We are not alone. There are others who want freedom. We will find them. Mira looked at the cave walls. For the first time, she felt like she had a home. Weeks passed. Mira grew more confident. She and Tom practiced their plan again and again. Mira studied every detail of the slave route. She learned the shifts of the guards, the timing of the transports. She saw the pain in the faces of freed slaves who passed through the cave. They whispered stories of lost homes and broken dreams, but they also whispered hope. Mira began to believe that hope was stronger than fear. One evening, as the sun set behind the desert hills, Tom turned to Mira. "The next convoy will pass here in 2 days," he said. "We must be ready." Mira's heart beat fast. "This is our chance," Tom said. "If we succeed, we free many. If we fail, we die trying." Mira looked into the burning sky. Her voice was steady. "Then we fight." Tom nodded. Together they looked toward the horizon. The fight for freedom had begun. The sun rose slowly over the desert. Its orange light filled the sky and touched the rocky hills around the small cave. Mira stood outside the entrance, feeling the warmth on her skin. She took a deep breath and looked at the land ahead. This was the place where her new life would begin. Tom came out of the shelter carrying 2 small packs. He smiled when he saw Mira. "Ready for today's training?" he asked. Mira nodded. "Yes." Tom handed her a pack. "We will start with movement. In the desert, noise can be deadly. You must learn to walk without sound." Mira listened carefully as Tom showed her how to place her feet. "Step lightly. Use the balls of your feet first. Avoid dry stones that crack." She practiced walking across the sand. At first, her steps made small cracks and clicks. Tom stopped her and helped her adjust. Slowly, she improved. After many tries, she could move quietly. "Good," Tom said. "Now you are less likely to be heard." Next, Tom took out a small knife. It was old but sharp. He showed Mira how to hold it safely. "This is a tool for close defense," Tom explained. "You must control it with your mind. It is not for anger but for protection." Mira took the knife. She practiced simple moves, cutting, blocking, and moving. Her hands felt weak, but her mind was strong. She remembered her past, the pain, and the fear. Now, she used that feeling to focus. Tom watched and nodded. "You learn fast." After that, Tom showed her an old blaster. It was small and easy to carry. He explained how to load it, aim, and fire safely. Mira held the weapon with care. She pointed at rocks and pulled the trigger. Bright flashes lit the air. The sound was loud, but not frightening anymore. "Try to aim for the weak points," Tom said. "The blaster can stop a guard, but not many." Mira practiced until her arm was tired. She felt a new power growing inside her. The days passed quickly. Mira trained every morning and evening. She learned how to move quietly, how to fight with the knife, and how to shoot with the blaster. She grew stronger and faster. Tom taught her other skills too, how to read maps, how to use old radios, and how to fix broken machines. Mira found she could understand these things. Her mind was sharp. One evening, Tom took her to a hidden spot on a hill. From there, they could see the desert for miles. "Look," Tom said. "This is where the convoy will come. The guards will watch carefully, but they do not know everything." Mira watched the dry land. She felt hope growing inside her. At night, Mira could not sleep. She thought about the people still trapped in slavery. She thought about her family and the pain they had suffered. She felt a fire inside her heart. She went outside and looked at the stars. The sky was clear and full of light. Tom joined her silently. They stood together. "You think too much," Tom said softly. Mira smiled weakly. "It is hard not to." Tom nodded. "But you have something they do not. You have hope." Mira looked at him. "Hope can be dangerous." "Sometimes," Tom said. but it is also the strongest weapon we have. The next morning, Tom brought new clothes for Mira. They were simple and strong. Not like the thin rags she had worn before. "These will help you move easier," he said. Mira put on the clothes. They felt strange but good. Tom also gave her a small backpack with supplies, food, water, and tools. "You will need these," he said. "If we succeed, we may have to travel fast." Mira looked at the pack. She felt ready. Tom then taught Mira how to hide in the desert. "Use the rocks and bushes," he said. "Stay low, watch the wind. If you move with the wind, they cannot smell or hear you." They practiced crawling behind stones and slipping through dry grass. Mira's body was tired, but her spirit was strong. One day, while training near the cave, they heard a noise. It was the sound of engines and voices. Tom looked serious. "They are close. We must be careful." Mira's heart raced. She felt fear, but also excitement. "Who is it?" she asked. "Patrol guards," Tom said. "Looking for rebels." They moved quickly to hide. The guards passed near the cave but did not see them. Mira felt her breath return. She looked at Tom. "We are ready," Tom smiled. "Not yet, but soon. Over." The weeks, Mira changed. She was no longer the broken slave woman who fell from the transport. She was a fighter. She was a survivor. She was hope. One evening, Tom said, "You have learned much. But the fight is not just with weapons. It is with your heart." Mira looked at him. "You must believe in yourself. Believe that you can win." She nodded. "I do." Tom said, "Good, because soon we strike." Mira's eyes shone with determination. Together, under the vast desert sky, they prepared for the fight that could change everything. The sun had just begun to rise, painting the desert sky with shades of pink and gold. Mira stood beside Tom on a rocky hill. Below them, a long line of alien ships crawled slowly across the sandy plain. The convoy was heavy with the sound of engines and the chatter of guards. Inside those ships were hundreds of slaves. Some were scared, some silent, all trapped. Mira's heart beat fast. She looked at Tom. He was calm, eyes sharp, hands steady. "This is it," Tom said. "The moment we've waited for." Mira nodded. She checked her small pack one last time. Inside were tools, weapons, and hope. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would strike while the convoy stopped to refuel. The guards would be tired. The slaves would be vulnerable. This was their chance to free as many as possible. Tom handed Mira a small blaster. "Use this if you must, but move quietly." Mira gripped it tightly. She had trained for this. She was ready. The convoy stopped near a rocky ridge. Guards walked in circles, watching the horizon. Mira and Tom waited in shadows behind the rocks. "Now," Tom whispered. They moved fast and quiet. Tom set small explosives near the fuel tanks. Mira crept toward the slave cages, looking for the weak points. The first explosion shook the ground. Flames burst into the sky. The guards shouted. Confusion spread like wildfire. Mira took the chance. She pulled a small key from her pack and started unlocking the cage doors. One by one, the slaves stepped out, eyes wide with fear and hope. Some were too weak to walk. Mira helped them. She told them to be quiet and stay close. Tom fought the guards near the fuel tanks. His blaster fired. Quick bursts of light. The guards were strong, but he was faster. Mira heard shouts and the sound of blasters. She kept unlocking cages, guiding the slaves toward the hidden path behind the rocks. Suddenly, a guard saw her. He raised his weapon. Mira did not panic. She raised her blaster and fired. The guard dropped. She did not look back. More explosions lit the sky. The convoy was in chaos. The freed slaves moved quickly, some helped by Tom and Mira. They ran toward the safety of the hills. Mira saw a small boy, scared and alone. She picked him up and carried him. Don't be afraid, she whispered. You are free now. The boy looked up at her with big eyes and nodded. Tom joined Mira near the hills. We must move fast, he said. More guards will come soon. Mira looked at the faces of the freed slaves. They were tired, but alive. We did it, she said softly. Tom smiled. This is only the beginning. They led the group into hidden caves far from the convoy. Inside the caves, the freed slaves rested. Some cried tears of joy. Some whispered prayers of thanks. Mira sat on a rock holding the small boy. Tom looked at her. You did well today. You were brave. Mira shook her head. I was scared. Courage is not the absence of fear, Tom said. It is acting even when you are afraid. Mira smiled weakly. Thank you. News of the raid spread quietly among the people still enslaved. Whispers of hope grew. Mira and Tom knew they had made enemies. The alien lords would respond. But, for now, they had won. For now, freedom burned bright in the desert. The desert was quiet again, but the silence did not bring peace. Mira stood on a rocky ledge, looking out over the land. The freed slaves were hidden deep in the caves. Their faces were tired but hopeful. But Mira knew the danger was not gone. Tatu. Alien lords were angry. The raid had broken their control. Now they sent patrols to find the rebels and punish them. Tom came up beside her. His eyes scanned the horizon. They will not stop until they find us. Mira nodded. We must move again. Stay ahead. Tom agreed. We need to be careful. The patrols have drones that scan the ground. They can see heat and movement from far away. Mira felt a cold shiver. The enemy was stronger than she thought. That? Night! The sound of engines grew near. A group of patrol ships moved slowly through the desert. The drones flew above, shining bright lights over the rocks. Tom and Mira gathered their people in the caves. Stay quiet, Tom said. We will not fight today. We will hide. Mira helped the children and the injured find safe places. The patrols moved close, but they did not see the hidden caves. The drones scanned the area, but Mira and the others stayed still, blending with the rocks and shadows. After hours, the patrols left. Mira let out a breath she did not know she held. The next day, Tom and Mira met to plan. We cannot stay here long, Tom said. The patrols will return with more soldiers. Mira looked at the people. We must fight back, not just hide. Tom agreed. Yes, we need to strike harder. We need more friends. Mira nodded. I will speak to the freed slaves. They will follow. Mira walked through the camp, talking to the people. Some were scared, some wanted to run, but many looked at her with hope. You are a leader now, an old man told her. We trust you. Mira felt a new strength. She was no longer just a survivor. She was a guide. She spoke to the group. We cannot wait for help. We must make our own future. We fight for freedom, for ourselves, for those still in chains. The people cheered quietly. Their eyes shone with courage. Tom taught the fighters how to make traps. They dug pits covered with sand. They built noisemakers to warn of patrols. Mira practiced her fighting every day. She learned to use the knife better. She worked with the blaster and improved her aim. One night, Mira and Tom sat by the fire. The stars shone bright above. I am proud of you, Tom said. You have changed. You are a true leader. Mira smiled. I could not have done it without you. Tom looked at the fire. The enemy will come. We must be ready. Days later, the patrols returned with more soldiers and drones. They moved quickly, searching every cave and rock. Mira and her fighters set their traps. One by one, the patrols fell into pits. Noisemakers warned of danger. A fierce battle followed. Blaster fire lit the night. The rebels fought bravely. Some were hurt. but they held their ground. Mira led the charge. She moved with skill and speed. She fought with the knife and the blaster. Her voice shouted commands that gave hope. The enemy was surprised. They had not expected such resistance. After hours of fighting, the patrols retreated. The rebels cheered. They had won this battle. But Mira knew the war was far from over. Tom came to her side. "This is only the beginning. The alien lords will send more forces." Mira looked at her people. "We will be ready." The freed slaves began to believe. They saw that even in the darkest times, hope could grow. Mira stood with Tom under the wide desert sky. The stars were bright and clear. "We are not alone," she said. Tom smiled. "No, we are many." Together they prepared for the next fight. The fight for freedom. The fight to change their future forever. The morning sun rose slowly, casting warm light across the desert. Mira stood with Tom and the group of freed slaves on a rocky hill. Their eyes watched the horizon where a large alien transport ship rested on the landing pad. Inside, hundreds of slaves waited, chained and silent. This was the moment they had prepared for. The last chance to stop the transport and free those still trapped. Mira's heart beat strong but calm. She felt the power of hope and courage inside her. She held her blaster tightly, ready for what was to come. Tom looked at her and nodded. "Remember, stay quiet and move fast. We strike together." Mira nodded back. "We end this today." The group split into small teams. Some moved to the power station to plant explosives. Others took positions near the landing pads to stop reinforcements. Mira and Tom led the team aiming for the command deck of the ship. The path was dangerous. Guards patrolled with weapons and drones flew overhead. Mira moved with quiet steps, her training guiding every move. Her eyes scanned for danger. Her breath was slow and steady. They reached the base of the transport. The engines hummed low. The slaves inside were waiting, unaware of what was about to happen. Tom set the first charge on the power grid. Sparks flew as the systems began to fail. The ship's lights flickered. Mira led the way inside. The corridors were dark and cold. She could hear the soft sounds of chains and whispered prayers. They moved quickly, avoiding guards and cameras. Mira found the control room door and knocked softly. Tom held his blaster ready. Inside, the alien captain looked up, surprised. His eyes were cold and hard. He raised his weapon, but Mira was faster. She fired first, hitting the control panel. Sparks flew. The captain dropped his weapon. The power went out. The ship shuddered. Outside, the explosions rocked the landing pads. Guards shouted and ran. Mira and Tom unlocked the cages. The slaves stepped out, blinking in the dim light. "This is your chance," Mira said. "You are free." The freed slaves moved quickly, guided by Tom and Mira. They climbed stairs and ran toward the escape pods. Outside, the sky was filled with fire and smoke. The ship's engines failed. It could not fly. Mira saw the alien captain trying to call for help. She stopped him with her blaster. "You will not stop this freedom." The captain looked angry, but knew he was beaten. Mira held her ground. The freed slaves boarded the escape pods. One by one, the pods lifted off and flew toward safety. Mira and Tom watched as the last pod escaped. The transport crashed back onto the desert sands. Flames rose high into the sky. The slaves cheered. Their chains were broken. Their future was free. Mira felt tears in her eyes. She had fought for this moment, for hope, for life. Tom stood beside her, proud and strong. "We did it," he said. "This is only the start." Mira nodded. "The fire of freedom has been lit." As the sun set, the desert was quiet again. But it was not empty. The freed slaves gathered around a small fire. They shared stories, dreams, and plans for the future. Mira stood and spoke to the group. We will build a new life, she said. A life without fear. A life of hope and courage. The people cheered softly. Tom looked at Mira with respect. You are a true leader now. Mira smiled. We all are. Together, we will change the stars. The fire in the sky was a symbol of freedom, a symbol of the human spirit that never gives up. Mira and Tom knew their fight was not over. But now, they were not alone. They had each other, and they had hope.